silence. 3 minutes. Things were getting serious. Artem checked whether Sobachka was breathing regularly. He bent down, made eye contact, and stroked her back. She was doing well. She had been a professional cosmonaut for a long time now. "Shall we, Sobachka?" She tried to bark upon hearing her name, which didn't work well inside her helmet. Artem held her with one arm and attached the short lifeline between his spacesuit and the hook at the back of her suit. Then he clipped his own lifeline to the hook next to the outside hatch. This line was quite long, being his means of returning to the ship with Sobachka. His right hand grabbed the rotary wheel, and he opened the hatch. The moment had come. He couldn't help his heart beating faster just before launching himself downward. He pressed the hatch out, aided by the last remnants of air. Far below he saw brightly lit rocks with hard-cut edges and deep black shadows. Now that he viewed the asteroid firsthand, rather than on a display, it felt like the gateway to hell, and fearfully far at the same time. But the display claimed only 300 meters to go. Artem jumped with the dog in his arms. A brief moment of panic, then experience kicked in and let him reorient his senses. The destination was ahead, not below. With the ship in orbit, he slowly drifted toward the asteroid. Every meter yielded more detail. A tourist would not notice, but the expert quickly noted that Sisyphus had been mined for a long time already. The visible lines were too straight to be natural, and the residual waste filling craters was out of place too. But that was what Artem was here for. His money came from being quicker than the rightful owner. Others would call him a thief. Early on he had aspired higher, maybe a kind of Robin Hood, but more recently he had admitted to himself that it was all about the money. Sisyphus was going to reach its closest orbital point from Earth in about a month, the perfect opportunity for its owner, the Russian conglomerate RB, to send specialized transport ships to pick up the results of 2.5 years of mining. He was going to be quicker. He didn't need special transport, since he was only here for the rare earths that the machines of the RB group had extracted from the rock of the asteroid. 1.5 tons of his bounty would pay for the next 3 years, plus add a sweet little sum to his bank account. The risk was minimal. The core operation would take about half an hour, and his small ship could accelerate faster than those plump transporters. Only 50 meters to go. The distance indicator started blinking on the display. He needed to concentrate. The asteroid rotated by in slow motion. At the moment, the dome where the 2 guards spent their time was passing under him. They posed no threat, since their pay was terrible. The RB group only employed them to meet legal requirements to keep the mining license on Sisyphus. At one point, trade unions had been able to ban staff-free mining. Even if these guys tried to interfere, he'd have his weapon to keep them in check. And before that, one of them would have to look up into the sky and notice his ship. Normally, they would rely on their radar to detect visitors more reliably than any video cam. But his ship was protected against radar by expensive metamaterials. So far, he'd had 8 successful raids, and everything had gone well. At 10 meters, he ignited the braking jets. There was a big rock between himself and the dome so that his activity would go unnoticed. The dome was of no interest to him. It housed the guards, and he'd avoid them anyway. The resources he was after were stocked about 500 meters away from the dome. Artem checked directions on the eye display and carefully released Sobachka. The dog noticed at once that she was free. At first, she struggled with her legs, but then she remembered how things worked in space. Her suit had its own jets that she controlled by pressing her front paws to her body. The harder she pressed, the more she would accelerate. Sobachka was perfectly in control. She showed him artistic pirouettes. Artem smiled and was deeply pleased to see her enjoying the performance. He'd have loved to be able to sit on a rock and keep watching, but they had work to do. He pointed in the direction of the stockpile with his right arm, and the dog followed along obediently. Halfway there, the sun rose, a cold, white fireball. It appeared over the near horizon, with the rapid rotation of the asteroid speeding the process along. Rocks glistened